Hello, Dr. Mike here. So we're looking at what would be week 2 or topic 2, which is malware and social engineering attacks. This aligns to chapter 2 in the current textbook, or the textbook at the time of this recording. And we have a NetLab also assigned. We'll take a quick peek at that. So without further ado, this is a summary of chapter 2. I do suggest you go ahead and look at the full chapter. There's some stuff I do skip over. Again, I just want to summarize the points I believe are important to look at. And there's actually some pretty good write-ups inside here with some examples. I'll add my own examples here, but definitely go through the chapter and look at it. Maybe we'll look at the summary of the chapter just to be sure we have covered the important stuff. So again, we'll come back to that. So let's take a look. Malware and social engineering attacks. This is probably the main vectors we still currently have, especially the latter, social engineering. Malware itself has been around for a while. It has several terms: viruses, Trojans. It's sort of a generic term we'll see. But social engineering is really where the attack happens. You are successful attacking the person rather than attacking, the firewall directly. So, and we've got some good examples here. So, again, malware. I think it's a pretty generic term. You may have seen it used in other classes, previous classes. It is just a generic term for malicious software. So, it has some primary traits: circulation, infection, concealment, and it carries some sort of payload. And that payload could be, again, very upfront, malicious in nature, like crypto, like ransomware, for example. Or it could be a rootkit, so very stealthy. You don't want no one to see. So again, malware has virus and worms sort of as part of its circulation traits. A big one is macrovirus, and I'll actually show you an example of that, and we'll talk about that. Appender infection is one method also to depend itself to the end of a file. The idea is you want to try to not be detected by virus scanners. So that's the ongoing battle between antivirus and virus. And there's a lot of tricks up the sleeve to try to skip the, get around an AV. So I'll show you one of those here in an example. The book talks about different ways. Some virus infections include Swiss cheese infection, split infection. Mutation is probably the most common one, especially polymorphic. The idea being you change the code itself. That way when it gets hashed, VirusTotal will do hashing on stuff, and that unique hash is different then. So VirusTotal a lot of times feeds our antivirus or endpoint protections. So this polymorphic virus usually is a very, very common way to try to get around infections. And endpoint protection itself is getting to more intelligent, where it's more about protecting the files themselves, the data, and especially because of the rash of ransomware we've seen in the past couple of years. The manufacturers or endpoint protection manufacturers have changed how they protect files. So, in any case, be familiar with these terms. You'll see these a lot of times in quizzes, especially things like split infection or Swiss cheese. Very important thing: what does a virus versus a worm do? Really, a worm is to traverse the network and look for other computers to infect through that vector it came in as. Internal boot is a good example of that. So SMB infection, SMB server message block, use that in a lot of different ways with Microsoft, for example, servers. And it'll find a hole in there that's a known hole, could be a 0-day, and infect that channel and move around. So pretty important that we see that. Virus itself, again, malicious code. Trojans, ransomware, crypto malware. So again, the Trojan, something that's not supposed to be. Pretty straightforward, right? Again, this term hopefully something you've heard of in other classes before this class. But again, it's the free Amazon gift card.exe. So something that's obviously not what it is. Sometimes the Trojan itself can even work as intended. You might get a free calendar program like shows here. You might actually get a little calendar, unbeknownst that it actually is running a Trojan as part of it. So ransomware, this is definitely the one that's in the news, and you'll see this a lot. if you're doing any kind of research. A lot of variations on this. This is, again, the virus component, but it's going to have some sort of also worm component. The idea is it wants to get into the network, spread around, and then sort of detonate and contain that network. So I'm not going to get too much into that. You probably heard about this already. Again, the idea is it encrypts all files, deletes the originals. You use a really good deletion too. You can't undelete them. And to get the key to unencrypt them, you have to pay money to some malicious party who supposedly has the key. So crypto malware, it's a great name. Malware, again, encrypts all everything on the file. So it also connects to command and control to receive other data. So it's a little more, it's sort of an offshoot of our ransomware. So you can see the information on that. Rootkit, definitely a big one. Again, not all attacks are going to be as verbose as a ransomware attack. Here we see a rootkit example here in the slide here, rootkit bullets here. And again, the idea is you want to get in and hide yourself and make yourself available for further attacks. And it could be to alter, maybe key log. It could be to collect information. A lot of times it could be, a rootkit could be an initial attack vector used to get a foothold on a network. So maybe that person opened that document with a macro virus that created a rootkit and a callback. Now, that's not your final target, but they are a first step into the network, and from there you can do what's called a pivot. So scan again, find another attack vector. And it could be a different attack vector. It could be a totally different attack. It could be automated, as part of the initial rootkit. It could be manual, but the idea is we want that access. So whether it be up to a server or even to someone's desktop. Again, we talked already. Payloads have all kinds of capabilities: collect data, delete data, modify system security settings, launch attacks, and so on. Spyware, adware, just a couple bullets here. Again, you probably heard this used in a lot of terms. Adware is just annoying. Spyware itself, again, it's breaching your privacy. Not really a sort of malware traditionally, but as a corporation, if you're a cybersecurity professional for a corporate, you should determine ways to block adware and spyware within your network. Not because privacy issues, but because of the watering hole effect. So the idea is you poison the well. And it's already been done in other attacks have been documented where I'll attack an ad server and implant my rootkit there, or my malicious code there. And then as those pages get served out, they are installed because the ad block is not on. So it is a vector coming through adware. But again, spyware itself can be malicious, could not be malicious in nature. A lot of times it's done because of marketing. They want to collect information about the user. So from a personal aspect, you always consider about where what you run. Maybe you block, use like uBlock Origin or Grocery, block certain sites or things like DoubleClick and so on. So again, a keylogger. That's the thing there. This is definitely a big one. This could be a physical device. It could be of course, software-based piece of code that goes in and gathers information. I have another video probably in my playlist of me performing a keylogger attack against a Windows server. So very handy, great way to get information. Again, it can be physical also. There are a lot of physical devices. Hack5 has some real great devices if you get into physical pen testing. Again, let's go over adware. Bot or zombie. So what we have is, so we sort of put this together here. Let's talk about malware and staging. So the attack vector, again, let's say is coming in via a Word doc. In here I have a macro virus. I'll just put MB. So I use social engineering attack via email to get into some level of a company. Maybe this is a data center, maybe this is IT, we're talking like network servers, and here's a regular office space, right? And then I can somehow get into, this could be anyone. This attack vector, this initial malware virus, and I'll show you an example here in a second. It is not the full virus. It is usually called a stage 1. What it does is it will go out, and stage 2 is usually hosted somewhere, which is the actual, called exe, it's the actual binary code. So when this does make it in, and it is ran, this will fetch stage 2, execute it, and stage 2 will typically, and this is it depends on the payload. It could be ransomware, it could be a worm that is going to look for further infections. Maybe, and an idea would be hopefully get into deeper into the network. It could just be, again, we'll just draw this here, a backdoor that's going to allow our attacker to go ahead and access. I'll put little evil horns on our attacker, right? It makes a foothold for further attack, become a pivot, and maybe get into another system with better credentials, and it allows us to get into maybe a network server, which can open up further backdoors, or maybe even get into our data center systems and, bingo, breach and get data out, or cause integrity issues, delete stuff. It just depends, so, on the attacker's intentions. So this is a good attack right now. Let's say this attack itself, stage 2 is actually installing a backdoor, but the backdoor is not going to go in and just let one person in. It's going to actually spread around, and it's going to allow itself to be connected, these systems, to what's called, these are called zombies then, and we have our botnet up here. So this is our command and control, and we can use these to launch further attacks, either internal or external. But we have a command and control mechanism in place. So again, attacks, how they can come in, spamming, DDoS is usually a big one. A lot of times you will run a botnet for DDoS attacks. Especially the larger the botnet, the more assets you have then you can throw against your target, or spread further malware. So social engineering. So again, really big one here. Let's take a look at a couple things here. So this is a old post I had from a couple years ago for computer crime, or actually literally that fall, that summer I went to an NSA malware, NSA hosted malware class about malware analysis. And it had tons of stuff inside there, really, really great. So they gave us the VM. And in there, one thing was pretty neat. It was reverse engineering a macro virus. And so there's a lot of ways to do this. We used some Python code, and we ran this in Windows, which is odd. Because the side note, as soon as they gave us this VM, they forgot to turn off Microsoft's Defender, and of course all the source material, which these VMs was full of source viruses to be analyzed, were wiped clean. So I'm surprised they didn't use Linux or some other way to do it. But again, I digress here. We use this malware analysis tool. And we had a document that we opened here, and you can see this document. This is a true virus that was used in a banking campaign to get banking credentials. So again, it came across as UPS delivery, and it had some, this is all really just garbage. There's nothing in here, this whole RSA thing. This is just, the idea is enable content to view the document. That was the key, right? This is a social engineering component. You have UPS saying there's a information here you need to see to get your delivery. You have to enable content, hence allow macros to work. So there's a macro OLE dump.py. That's actually the script we use. And you can see up here, it can determine in the parts of our document, component objects, document summary, and so on, the VBA parts. And it would mark them if there were something of interest. So looking at those, you can see the DBA code, the VBA code, and you can see what it's doing. And if you pull this chunk of this out, this looks probably small on your screen, but I got to zoom in on it here. Here's some ideas about things they use to sort of try to obfuscate themselves. In this case, they used string reverse. So you can see this is the word environments reversed. So it looks like just garbage right now. So string reversing and so on allows you to go ahead and set up and call. This is what's going to call that second stage, like I showed you in that diagram, and detonize or kick off this exe file. So when this is analyzed under this SHA-256 is analyzed under virus total, which by the way is a great tool to use for malware reverse engineering. You can see it's usually a Word document, and this is a known virus. So it has always a community score, and it's a stage 1 that execute downloads and runs something called the VAW-track banking malware. Again, information is inside virus total on this. There actually was a link about it, VAW-track banking malware in 2016. It comes across as UPS delivery. So this is a good way you can see a blend of both some sort of social engineering to slip in a small piece of code that someone can run to bring in further code that's sort of malicious in nature. So social engineering itself, let's go and take a moment here and look at some of the components of this. Psychological. The idea is you want to persuade someone to do something. I think even in the beginning of this chapter, it's a little ripe about someone over the phone talking to customer support. Customer support's a great thing to go look at the attack, right? They're there to help the customer. If they think you're the customer, they will do things for you, like we add a user account, change a phone number, or add an email address to the profile that is not of the original customer's email. So, or just get information from customer support to get information about your target. And so I may mention this later, or I come across the slide later, but information about your target, which could be benign, you think, by nature, like where they work, coworkers, can be very valuable in creating an attack. So, come back to this. So again, you want to provide reason, make them laugh. You want to make someone comfortable. You want to act like you belong there too. Very important. So impersonation. You're a repairman. You belong there. So on this, I do have an example here. You're a manager, and so on. I have an example. So first off, let's talk about Hollywood. Hollywood and hacking. Well, there's some really bad stuff out there.
No way.
As you've seen here.
I'm getting hacked.
A port scan?
No, this is major. They've already burned through the NCIS public firewall.
Burn through.
We'll isolate the node and dump them on the other side of the router.
I'm trying. It's moving too fast.
Oh, this is not good. We're using our connection to the INFIS database. Sever it.
I can't. It's a point attack. He or she is only going after my machine.
It's not possible. This is DoD level 9 encryption. It would take months to get built.
Hey, what is that, video game?
No, Tony, we're getting hacked.
They get in Abby's computer, the entire NCIS network is next.
I can't stop him. Do something, McGee.
I've never seen code like this. Ah, way to go, Abby.
I didn't do anything. I thought you did.
No?
I did.
No way.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty horrible. I know it's like movie reviews, hacker movie reviews by Dr. Mike. Yeah, so as we know, Hollywood's not a really good example, but there are a few golden nuggets to pull from. Mr. Robot, for example, has got some really good stuff. Some of it can be a little Hollywoodish, but all in all, Mr. Robot's got some, especially season 1's got some great realistic hacks. So check out Mr. Robot. It's even a good show too. So again, I'm not here to give you movie reviews. I'm going to get back on topic here. Impersonation, act like you belong somewhere. There's a movie from 1992 called Sneakers. So this is a fantastic example of two people working together. In this case, these two actors here, Robert Redford and I think it's River Phoenix. he is acting like a delivery guy, distracting the guard, and he acts like he belongs there. So let's set that up. Hopefully,
Hold on a second. I got the
Did my wife drop a
right-
cake off for me?
What cake? There's no cake back
Surprise
here.
party for Marge on the second floor. She was supposed to drop a cake off.
I don't know anything about it.
There she is, late as
Okay,
usual.
well, it states right here very clearly that I am to deliver 36 boxes of liquid drainage to this here address.
I don't care what that
If you
says.
have a
You're not on
problem
the
with
list.
that,
You
just
can't
say
get in.
so.
I do have a problem with it. You can't get in.
Understood. I
Look,
might lose my job.
well, it's not my problem. Kid, now
Okay, I
beat it,
realize
all right?
there's no
I
special
can't reach
interest
my
to
card.
you.
I can't reach my
Well,
card.
why
Could you
not
buzz
just
this
all
guy?
this stuff right
Could
here?
you just buzz it? I can't reach my card.
This would
Wait 1 minute.
prove-
Buzzer, okay? We're late for the party on the second floor.
Excuse me.
Push the goddamn buzzer, will you? Thanks.
great, he's in. There's actually a funny part here. I'll skip forward a little bit here. I don't want to. You can definitely Google sneakers movie clip. There's a keypad here. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So first he comes up to this door, and I just went past it. But he's suspecting a lock, and he gets a keypad.
Above, yeah. Right.
So they're giving some hints. How can you get in?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Brute force attack. So one more example for you here. Then this is from another movie that is actually not that good, but it actually has a few good scenes. There's actually only one good scene I can think about, and that is for impersonation. Again, getting trust from somebody. This movie is a 2014 movie called Black Hat. There's this scene here where this is a associate. They're working together. She convinces the guard at the front desk to do something.
Hi.
Hello.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, can you speak English?
A little.
I'm here to have a meeting with Mr. John Harry in 5 minutes.
Go to the reception on the third floor.
Yeah, I know, but can you help me? My presentation got stained. Any chance can you print me a new copy, please?
Not supposed to, but
Dun dun dun. Okay, so I'll stop here because this is really Hollywoodish, the next clip here. And my guess is what you don't show is it probably is a document on there that was printed and was given back to her. So that is the tech, was followed through. So it wasn't just a malicious, malicious exe or some other malicious code on there. Totally, stealthy on there and opened up the back door, which I won't show the rest of this clip. But I think that's a great example, though, still, of that trusting a third party, right? Gaining that trust. It could be flirtation, it could be whatever, to make someone like you, to do something small that may seem like they're being friendly, but people themselves want to be friendly, want to help somebody, even the security guards. So a couple good examples there, and those are some movies are worth watching, some are not. Phishing, again, this is a main attack. Spear phishing, whaling phishing. There's different types. Know about those. Spear phishing is probably the one. Phishing is going to be more general. Spear phishing might be I gather information about a small set of targets, maybe executives at a company. And then I'll do is set up real specific attacks to get their attention to open a document. Actually, Black Hat has an example of that where they request a password reset with someone's email, an internal email, and then there's a PDF with the password reset instructions, and that PDF has a virus on it. So supposedly it's an NSA, so again, very Hollywoodish, but the idea is still solid. So spear phishing, again, definitely specific users. That's where it gets very dangerous because you might use some other ways to gain their trust. PayPal, as an example, is a big example of a phishing image. stuff can look good. It's easy to make a website, a PDF, a Word doc, an email look like it came from an official source. So spam is just annoying. Image spam is a way to circumvent text-based filters. Keep that in mind. You might see that in the test. Knock on wood. But spam is mostly annoying, but it can have malicious code inside of it. And of course, spam filtering is the best way to do that. Hoaxes are a great one. And I'm going to attach to this slide some commentary here. So the news and cybersecurity. I literally, a couple years ago, I was called by a local station, and they were like, we got word that all Wi-Fi is now hackable. Can we come talk to you about it? I said, sure. And actually, ironically, I was in class talking to a class about this current research that was found and the way you can insert zero-key insertion attacks. And they're like, well, is it done? Are we all hackable? It's like, well, yes and no. I mean, so the attack was very specific. First off, the attack was discovered by a security researcher who did not disclose the full attack parameters, just a summary. Based on the summary, the attack would have someone removing and replacing a router, and also, sort of taking the place of that router, and becoming the old router as a new. So cloning that router, and then dropping connections, and then doing the reinsertion attack. So it was an actual fault in the WPA handshake. When someone either is dropped and comes back to the same network that they've been authenticated with, and inserts a zero key. Hence, your encryption is all based on zeros. But it was a very, very, very detailed attack, and of course, information went out to be patched by Android, iOS, Microsoft. Everybody got their ways to go and create patches for this at the endpoints. So, yeah, the news could take it. Now, take that hoax. Now I don't call it a hoax. Take that clickbait, turn it into a hoax, saying, all iPhones are hackable now. Download this thing, and it will secure your system from this major hack. Well, the solution in there could be another hack. So hoaxes are a great way to do this. Water and hole attack. So I sort of mentioned this before. This is a way of sort of poisoning the well of some other place. One example could be this. Maybe an attacker, again, has a target company in mind. And company's got no leaking Wi-Fi, no public access. They have really good firewalls up. Strong encryption. And just good physical security. You can't do the sneakers attack, let's say. Just a lot of stuff like that. But you find that every day, by physically observing the company, maybe a delivery truck from a local restaurant shows up all the time, like 2 or 3 times during lunch. So look at the restaurant's website. Well, they're woefully insecure. So that means they're clicking. Someone internally is clicking on that website, maybe to order food. If it has an online order, maybe it's all over the phone. But maybe you go there and yes, maybe this restaurant has an online ordering portal. Well, somewhere in there, maybe there's a review site, and maybe the review for the recipe, or for the review for the meal, people post their reviews. Maybe that review page is cross-site script. It can be cross-site scripted. Boom, you can implant some malicious code, and hopefully someone internally clicks on it and gets that cross-site script executed on their system. Again, it is a way of attack, a sort of a side channel attack. Another mention, of course, was just I talked about was ad servers you can attack. So dumpster diving. So deleting data, dumpster diving. So first off, how stuff is gotten rid of. PCs, laptops, mobile devices, maybe going to be reissued or recycled, reused, upgraded. How they are disposed of and or recycled is very important. Also, what gets tossed out? What's left out in the open? Digging through a dumpster. There's been news reports of HIPAA violations because people just dumped medical records. Also, you might find information about your target. Some I'm going to take on this is beyond dumpster diving is Google dorking. This is a fantastic attack vector. Google is going to be your friend. So not only for offense but defense. And Google Dorking is real specific. There's ways to search by like site : Sinclair.edu, doc, or type equals .docx, or .pdf, or .ppt, and it will give you a list of everything this company or institution has posted, Google's found, that's publicly available, that is of that file type. So this is a virtual dumpster diving going on here. So you think, okay, well that's great. I download a Word document from company A that I'm curious in, maybe I'm a pen tester, and I'm attacking company A. Well, what good am I going to get from getting Word documents that are publicly available? Well, metadata. If you look at your Word document, you do properties, you get information about the document. The author's name, so I got information about the author. The version of Word it was created in, or PowerPoint, or Excel, or PDF. If it's Adobe Acrobat, maybe they have Adobe installed in-house. What version are they using? A lot of times that's stamped inside the document. This version number can be very valuable. That means, I have an idea about what they're using inside, using Office inside. They're not on the latest Office. Maybe they're a little bit behind. Maybe they haven't patched Office. Maybe the patch they're missing is macro, has a macro attack that can be used against it. So again, what looks very benign by nature can be very much of use. You can also pull out images and scrape down information about images. It could have information about where the image was taken, who took the image. That could be a side channel attack. So a lot of good stuff there you can go ahead and leverage. Information about your target is fantastic. So Google Dorking's got a lot of stuff, and it's a great name. There's Google Dorking Python scripts I know I've seen. There's Google Dorking reference documents. I believe I have one here I keep in my from all my previous pen tests. No reference. I don't have it on here. I don't have it on here. I thought I did. So, don't have it on there. But I had a reference somewhere about Google Dorking. A lot of times you'll find a lot of information on it. But yeah, Google is definitely your friend. So, again, system manuals. Now on system manuals, that sounds funny. Imagine someone dumped the source code. Just maybe someone printed it out and they used it to look it over. Again, the idea of printing code out seems weird, but maybe they printed out some code. Maybe the code snippets were in a PowerPoint presentation that was printed out and handed to a team, and then some of the team just throws it away. Maybe that code snippet has information about the framework they're using. What version of framework attacks. If we look at Equifax, it was attacked via a framework that wasn't patched. So again, this you can find information this way via reconnaissance, but this is early reconnaissance, and sometimes source code could be of great value. Even code comments. Let's talk about scraping a website. So think of this again, the Google Dorking / early recon. Go into the web page and looking at the page source. There could be comments in the page source. It could be names. Well, if I get a list of email addresses and names, that could be of a huge value. And sort of a virtual dumpster dive, but I'll show you how that can be of value. So if we go to the summary here, let's talk about that. So how could the emails be of value? So let's look at our ring of trust here. This is a company. These are our executives, CIO, CFO, and so on. Here we have management. Here we have everyone else in the office, all the other workers. So an attack comes in. Oops. An attack can come in. Maybe it's a phishing attack. Well, let's say you get a link to Dr. Mike's cool gaming parts, PC parts. Well, that's lame. Rejected by the spam bot. Hopefully it's your email server, right? But let's say someone doesn't get a foothold inside. And in there, they're able to access emails, at least use an internal email address and pretend to be a manager, or even better, become an executive. So if you get a link from Dr. Mike's cool Linux stuff, it gets rejected. You look at it, you might just delete the email as junk email. But you get a link from an executive or from a manager saying, this is an important piece. Everybody review this PDF document, review this website, review whatever, and reply back with your thoughts. Well, there's a level of trust here. That internal trust is what you want as an attacker. That internal trust, executive emails are of high value. So phishing against executives, hence that spear phishing, more targeted phishing, definitely is a way to do that. And those executives, those information about managers and executives is all over the place. Let's look at our virtual dumpster dive. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Information on there looks benign in nature, again, from someone else, be of value from the attacker. Maybe I'll go to a Twitter feed and find the marketing manager and find out that their college was XYZ, their favorite book was so-and-so, favorite movie so-and-so. I can take that. They have 2 kids, they have a spouse by a certain name, they got married on a certain date. I can put this into, there's a lot of apps. I actually have a Python app on my laptop down here. I can feed into there and it'll create a password list called possible passwords. So if they have a weak password policies, someone does their dog's name with a number, I can definitely create a more focused dictionary attack. So again, this dumpster diving, think about it larger than what the actual dumpster itself. So again, that should wrap up the chapter here. Malicious software, we know what it is, ransomware, rootkits. They come all different flavors. They come in different ways. They get executed or detonated, so one term they use. Set off a certain way. It could be all kinds of stuff. Everything from a stealthy backdoor to ransomware. Social engineering, though, definitely being the main attack. So, and that will do it for the topic. The actual content this week, the lab content, should be analyzing different types of attacks. So again, the way my classes run are, the textbook is pretty high level. These net labs are going to be really low level. So again, you're going to be doing this week, you're going to be looking at shell shock, which, by the way, you think, well, that's an old vulnerability, like 2016, I believe. Don't discount old vulnerabilities. You can't assume everyone has patched their bash shell. So this could be an exploit. And so you'll actually run this exploit using W3IF. It's a great utility, by the way. And then you look at some rootkit, initiating a rootkit access, and also detecting rootkits. Again, information about the lab itself is in the first few pages, the topology. All the credentials and passwords are in the first thing, lab settings. And don't discount, this is a good example, don't discount the pre-lab setup. Most times it's going to have you log into each system. But in this case, security onion, you need to actually do a sudo service NSM start. So this will affect the lab. If you don't run that, the lab might not work. So keep that in mind. Always look at those few pages before you start the lab. So anyways, that wraps up Chapter 2, Malware and Social Engineering Attacks. And hope you have a good day. Thank you.